Journey to the West, an audio drama series. Chapter 37, Part 2. Soon enough, the eastern sky whitened. 行者 gave 八戒 and Shamak instructions, telling them, "Do not walk around outside and disturb the monks. Once I have successfully done my part, I will have you join me." Then he bid farewell to the tongue monk before jumping into the air with a whistling somersault. Opening his fire eyes, he looked to the wide west, and there indeed lay a city. How did he see it, you may ask? They were told that the city was merely 40 li away from the temple, so it could easily be spotted from up high. 行者 went closer and had a better look. What he found was strange mist and solemn clouds densely layered, as evil gusts and grieving air filled the space. 行者 exclaimed from the air, "If a true king ascends his precious throne, auspicious light and clouds will this place unfold. But a monster has usurped this dragon's seat, and sealed with black fog the doors of gold." He was just sighing when he heard the loud shots from cannons, and as the city's east gate opened, a troop of men riding horses burst out. 'Tis the hunting troops, and they were indeed mighty. Colorful flags and white horses charging at the wind, hawks and hounds as brave as the men who led them, each were equipped with arrows and bows. Across the hunting ground lied nests and ropes. Walking beasts are destined to meet their end. Flying creatures have no way to escape. He is here to tidy up the mountain range and capture ferocious animals, destroy the forest, and shoot at the winged. Those people left the city and spread out across the east countryside. Soon, in the higher fields about 20 li into their trip, 行者 spotted a young general within the main forces. Helmet on head, armor all over, brocade around his torso tied in 18 layers. In his hand was a treasure sword with green tips. A yellow horse with white spots was what he rode on, and across his waist was a fully strung bow. Truly, vaguely you can see the image of a monarch. Impressive were his noble features, those of a ruler. His manners proved that he was unlike a common man. Every movement showed the nature of a true dragon. Secretly delighted, 行者 said in mid-air, "No need to explain. That must be the Emperor's crown prince. Let me play a trick on him." Splendid, 行者. He descended from cloud and bumped right into the crown prince's horse. With a shake of his body, he transformed into a white rabbit, dashing aimlessly before the prince's horse. The prince saw that and could not have been more pleased. Picking up an arrow, he strung the bow to its fullest and shot the rabbit with a single hit. The great sage intentionally let the prince hit him. Meanwhile, he, with his swift eyes and hands, caught the arrowhead and threw its feathers to the front before speeding away. The prince saw the arrow hit the jade rabbit, so he urged the horse and began chasing it, all by himself. What he didn't know was that when the horse ran fast, 行者 was fast like the wind. But when the horse became slow, 行者 also moved slowly. That way, he could keep just a small distance ahead of the prince. Look at him, stop after stop, luring the crown prince to the mountain gate of Baoli Monastery. There, 行者 showed his original body. No more rabbit, just one arrow, stuck at the threshold. He then barged straight inside and told the tongue monk, "Master, he's here. He then once again transformed into a tiny monk only 2 cun tall before hiding inside the red box. We speak now of the crown prince who chased all the way to the mountain gate but could not find the white rabbit. All he saw was a decorated arrow stuck on the threshold. Astonished, the prince said, How strange. I clearly shot a jay rabbit with my arrow. How did the jay rabbit disappear, leaving just the arrow in this place? I bet it must have cultivated for many years and become some sort of spirit." He then pulled the arrow out and looked up to find 5 giant characters written on the gate. 赤剑宝林寺, the imperially founded precious wood monastery. The prince said to himself, "I know this place. I remember that years ago in the Hall of Gold carriage, King Father ordered the officials to give some gold and silk to these monks so they can repair the Buddhist halls and statues. I never knew I would come here on this day. It's truly a case of chatting with a monk since it's a temple I passed by, earning half a day of rest in this trivial life. Let me just have a walk inside. The crown prince jumped off his horse and was about to go in when the imperial guards and the 3,000 horsemen arrived. Pushing and shoving, they crowded into the mountain gate, which put the resident monks into a panic. They all came to kowtow and greet the prince before bringing him to the main hall, where he would pay respect to the statue of Buddha. He was looking up to observe the place while thinking about sightseeing for fun later when, suddenly, he saw a monk sitting in the middle. Enraged, the crown prince shouted, "What an insolent monk! We now have entered the mountain with enough imperial honors next only to the emperor. Even though no edict was sent to inform you, so you had no obligation to greet us from afar, the troops and horses have now arrived at your door for whom you should still rise. Why are you sitting here without moving at all?" He then instructed, "Arrest him." With that order, the officers from his sides moved forward together to drag Sanzang away while pulling out ropes to bind him. Xingde began secretly reciting spells inside the box, instructing, "Heavenly guardians, 6 gods of the ordinal Ding and 6 gods of the ordinal Jia, I am now trying to subdue a monster. This crown prince is not aware and wants to tie my master up with ropes. You better keep him protected as quickly as possible. Should he really be tied up, you are all to blame." With great sage giving out orders in secret, who dared disobey? And so they had Sanzang shielded in safety. Those men could not even touch his bald head, as if blocked by an invisible wall, and none could approach at all. The crown prince asked, "Where are you from? Why trick me with this magic of invisibility?" Sanzang moved forward to greet him, answering, "This humble cleric has no magic of invisibility. I am the Tang monk from Land of the East, a monk who is heading to the Temple of Thunderclap to worship Buddha, seek scriptures, and offer treasures." The crown prince said, "That Land of the East of yours may be the central land, but it's absolutely poverty-stricken. What treasures could you possibly have? Tell me." Sanzang explained, "This brocade kashaya I wear is a third-rate treasure. I have still first-rate and second-rate items that are much better than this." The crown prince said, "That robe of yours only covers half of your body and leaves the other half exposed. How much can this thing be possibly worth that you dare call it a treasure?" Sanzang explained, "This kashaya may not be able to wrap around my entire body, but I have several lines of poems here. No need to mention that the Buddhist gown is a half-robe. Beyond the mortal dust, truth is what its inside holds. Countless threads and stitches resulted in this true fruit. Endless pearls and treasures gathered for this primal soul. Immortal maidens offered needlework with reverence. It was gifted to this monk to purify my sullied presence. It's one thing to not greet the imperial guest, but what is a man who leaves his father's death unavenged?" The crown prince heard this and became incredibly enraged, shouting, "Unruly monk, you are spouting nonsense. That half a piece of clothing can sound so great and mighty with your capable mouth and slick tongue. What do you mean I left my father's death unavenged? Tell me." Sanzang moved forward, pressed his palms together, and asked, "Your Highness, when one is born between heaven and earth, how many favors does one receive?" The crown prince answered, 4 favors. Sanzang asked, "Which 4? The crown prince answered, "The favor from heaven and earth for giving us cover and support, the favor from the sun and moon for gracing us with their light, the favor from the king who gives us water and soil, the favor from father and mother for their nurture and education." Sanzang chuckled and said, "Your Highness, your words are not quite right. All we have are heaven and earth giving cover and support, the sun and moon gracing with their light, and the king who gives us water and soil. Where do we even have father and mother who offer nurture and education?" The crown prince angrily said, This monk is a freeloading rascal who shaves his hair and betrays the ruler. Where do we even come from if not for the nurture and education from our father and mother? Sanzang said, Your Highness, this humble cleric has no answers. However, inside this red box lies a treasure named Li Di Huo, who knows everything that happens in the 500 years of the past, 500 years of the future, and 500 years of the present, making it a total of 1,500 years. He knows exactly why we do not owe the favor of father and mother for any nurture or education. That is why this humble cleric has been instructed to wait here for the longest time. The crown prince heard that and ordered, Bring it over for me to see. Sanzang then pulled up the lid of the box. Xingzhe jumped out and walked around in uneven steps. The prince asked, What can this tiny person even know? Xingzhe heard the prince complain about his height, so he used a magic trick and stretched his waist, growing to around 3 chi and 4 to 5 cun. The soldiers were shocked and said, If this is how fast he can grow, it wouldn't take a few days before he penetrates the skies. Xingzhe grew to the size of his original body before he stopped. Only then did the prince ask, Li Di Huo, the old monk said you know all the fortunes and woes of the future and past. Do you use turtle shells or grass sticks for divination, or do you determine one's fortune with lines in a book? Xingzhe answered, I use none of those. All I need is my tongue, and everything comes to my knowledge. The prince said, This thing is spouting nonsense again. Since ancient times, Yi Jing, the Book of Changes, has exhausted all that is mystique to determine the fortune of this world, so one knows what to seek or avoid. That's why turtle shells and grass sticks are used for divination. From what you have said, what is the basis of your arguments? To judge one's fortune without basis counts as instigation. Xingzhe explained, Don't get worked up just yet, Your Highness. Let me tell you everything. You are the crown prince of Black Rooster Kingdom. 5 years ago, the place was hit by severe drought and the people suffered greatly. Your emperor, along with his officials, faithfully prayed for rain. But before the arrival of a single raindrop came a Taoist from Mount Zhongnan. He was quite capable when it came to summoning wind and rain, as well as turning stones into gold. The king was rather covetous and became sworn brothers with him. Is that true? The crown prince exclaimed, Yes, indeed. Do continue, will you? Xingzhe asked, But for the past 3 years, there was no Taoist. And who is on the throne? The crown prince said, There was indeed a Taoist, and King Father became sworn brothers with him. They ate and slept together. 3 years ago, when they were sightseeing in the imperial garden, the man was swept back to Mount Zhongnan by a divine gust, taking along the white jade tablet inlaid with gold that King Father held in his hands. King Father still misses him fondly now. Because of his disappearance, he lost the desire to play, so he closed up the garden. It's been 3 years since. Who else could be on the throne if not my King Father? Xingzhe heard that and sneered non-stop. The crown prince asked again, but he still would not answer, only sneering. The prince said in anger, This thing is not speaking when he should. Why are you sneering like this? Xingzhe then said, I've got much more to say, but when so many are around, this is no place for those discussions. The crown prince saw that he had a reason behind his words, so he swung his sleeves and ordered the soldiers to back away. The officers guarding him quickly passed on the orders and had the 3,000 horsemen encamp outside the gates. And then the hall was empty, with just the crown prince in the head seat and the elders standing in front of him, with Xingzhe on his left-hand side. The monks from the monastery also left before Xingzhe approached the prince with a serious face. Your Highness, the one who disappeared with the wind is your true parent, and the one on the throne is the Taoist who prayed for rain. The crown prince said, Nonsense! Ever since the Taoist disappeared, my father has ruled a kingdom with harmonious weather and a prosperous society. According to what you're saying, he is not my King Father. I am young enough to tolerate you. Should King Father hear your words of treason, you will be arrested and chopped into 10,000 pieces. He snarled, dismissing Xingzhe. Xingzhe said to the tongue monk, "See, I told you he won't believe me, and I was right. I was right. Let's just offer him the treasure so we can certify our travel documents and move on westward." Sanzang then handed the red box to Xingzhe. Xingzhe received it before shaking his body, and the box vanished in a blink. Because it was made from his hair, it has now returned to his body. With both hands, he presented the white jade tablet to the crown prince. The prince saw it and said, "Splendid monk, splendid monk. You were that Taoist from 5 years ago. You stole a treasure from my family and are now giving it back as a gift by disguising as a monk." He then ordered, "Take them." That order sent the elder to extreme panic as he pointed at Xingzhe. "You Bima Wen, all you do is get into thoughtless trouble and you are dragging me into it." Xingzhe moved over to block both of them, saying, "Quit shouting, you're letting out the truth. My name is not Li Dihuo. I've still got a real name." The prince said angrily, "Come up here. Tell me your real name so I can send you to the Bureau of Justice and be sentenced." Xingzhe explained, "I am Wukong Sun Xingzhe, the eldest disciple of that elder. Because I am accompanying my master to West Heaven for scriptures, we came here to stay the night yesterday. My master was reviewing scriptures during the night when, at the third watch, he had a dream. In the dream, he saw your king father tell him that he was mistreated by the Taoist and pushed down the 8-sided glass well in the imperial garden. The Taoist then transformed into his image. None of the court officials could tell, and neither can you, given your young age. He kept you from entering the inner palace and shut the garden, probably out of fear that the truth will come out. Your king father came during the night, specifically to ask me to subdue the monster. I wonder if it was really an evil monster, so I had a look from mid-air, and there indeed is a monster spirit. I was about to make the move and take him down when you unexpectedly left the city for a hunting trip. The jade rabbit you hit with an arrow was none other than Elder Sun. Elder Sun lured you to this temple to see my master so we can have this heart-to-heart conversation. Every word I say is true. If you can recognize this white jade tablet, how can you not think of the deep favor of nurture and avenge for your loved ones?" The crown prince heard his words and became stricken with sorrow. Holding back his melancholy, he said, "If I did not believe such words, they do sound rather truthful. But if I did believe them, what am I supposed to do when it's King Father I see in court?" That was truly a case of the heart asking the mouth in dilemma, and the mouth questioning the heart in prolonged patience. Xingzhe saw him unable to make up his mind, so he approached to say, "Be not skeptical, your highness. Please return to your kingdom and ask Her Majesty the Queen. Ask her about the intimacy between husband and wife compared to 3 years ago. With that one question, you will be able to tell what is true or not." The crown prince became convinced and said, "That is true. Let me go ask my mother." He jumped up, took the jade tablet in his sleeves, and was about to leave when Xingzhe seized him and said, "If you return with all those troops, when the news get out and ruin my plan, you must enter the city alone and keep a low profile. Do not take the southern gate of the front, but enter through the northern gate at the back instead. When you see your mother in the palace, do not speak in a loud voice, only whisper. I fear that monster is so powerful that he might find out. If so, you and your mother's lives will be in serious danger." The crown prince carefully followed his instructions before coming out the mountain gate, telling his generals, "Stay encamped here and do not move. I've got a matter to handle, but I will be right back. We will return to the city together then." Look at him. With commands and orders, he kept his troops in place and flew on horseback back to the city. With his departure, we do not know what will be said when he meets Her Majesty. Please wait until the next chapter.